I would like to talk more about dams as a spin-off of talking about the first and second law of thermodynamics. First, let's talk about the Three Gorges Dam, located on the Yangtze River in China. The purpose of the dam was to provide hydroelectric power, reduce flooding that would occur naturally along the river, and improve navigation. In the pictures in the bottom right corner of your screen, it depicts the Yangtze River in 1987 before the dam was constructed, and then also in 2006 after the dam was constructed. Over 75,000 acres of cultivated land was flooded as a result of the reservoir storing the water behind the dam. Also, a low estimate of 1.3 million people had to be relocated as a result of this flooded lands from the dam construction. The approximate cost was over $30 billion, and about 60,000 people worked on the construction of the dam. This dam is about 5 times larger than the United States Hoover Dam and is 1.24 miles long and over 600 feet high. China used the design that Russia used to get the boats up and over the dam so it could not interrupt shipping. They also used designs used in the Hoover Dam to help with the Three Gorges Dam. The Three Gorges Dam produces the most electricity at 18,200 megawatts. The next 4 largest dams are the Itapu Dam in Brazil, the Guri Dam in Venezuela, the Grand Coulee Dam in the United States, and the Cyana-Shushensk Dam in Russia. Each of these dams generates electricity, with the one in Brazil at 12,600 megawatts, the dam in Venezuela at 10,300 megawatts, the Grand Coulee Dam in the U.S. at 6,800 megawatts, and the dam in Russia at 6,400 megawatts. So the question arises, was building the Three Gorges Dam truly worth it? Some believe that the Three Gorges Dam is a classic case in which government officials exaggerated the benefits of the dam and underestimated the risks. You'll see some of these issues come up as I continue to talk about what happened with this dam. There were 3 main issue areas, including social, environmental, and economical. As far as the social problems associated with the dam construction, it's because more than 1.3 million people were asked to leave the area, and the people were not properly compensated for the relocation. It did result in overpopulation in other areas surrounding the dam, and much of the fertile farmland, over 75,000 acres, ended up becoming flooded. From an environmental standpoint, they were having problems with landslides as well as pollution issues resulting from the Yangtze River itself. And then the dam is located on 6 active earthquake fault lines. So if for some reason the structure of the dam would become compromised during an earthquake, it could possibly harm more than 15 million people that live downstream of the dam. And then the slowed flow, because the dam has been built, is causing pollution to build up in the downstream areas since there's not as much water flowing through that part of the Yangtze River. As far as the economics aspect of it, the percentage of energy that's able to support the population is constantly decreasing because China's population continues to increase. And although they said the dam would be profitable, when they take into consideration the cost to construct the dam, the costs associated with moving more than 1.3 million people, and the environmental costs associated with the flooding and reservoir filling up, the concern is that this is not a profitable measure. As far as electricity is concerned, this dam provides 3 to 10% of the energy used in China. The total energy, as mentioned earlier, is 8.2 million kilowatts. And this dam produces enough electricity to be equivalent to that of 18 coal power plants. It actually generates 20 times more energy than the Hoover Dam, which is the equivalent of about 11,000 barrels of oil. Also, hydroelectric power is a non-carbon source of energy, so we don't have the carbon footprint associated with it in terms of emitting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And the building of this Three Gorges Dam actually is helping to reduce the coal consumption by 40 to 50 tons annually in China. There has been 214 major floods on the Yangtze River in the past 2,300 years. This is an average of one flood every 10 years. The floods that were recorded have claimed hundreds of millions of lives, millions of acres of farmland, and thousands of homes, with the damage being in the billions of dollars. In 1998, there was a major flood that caused more than 4,000 deaths and left 14 million people homeless and cost over $24 billion to the economy. The result of building the Three Gorges Dam has reduced the flood frequency to one major flood every 100 years, as opposed to the more reoccurring frequency of one flood every 10 years. So, prior to the construction of this dam, the Yangtze River was only able to support about 3,000-ton vessels. Now, with the dam, they can support 10,000-ton vessels for half the year and 5,000-ton vessels in the drier 6 months of the year. This is allowing them to jump in the shipping from 10 million to 50 million tons a year along the Yangtze River. They're able to do this because the dam raised the water level in the river, and they're able to get ships over the dam by the lock that they built. In 2010, more than 1.45 million tourists visited the dam, which was 26% higher than in 2009. They also are able to get cruise ships through the locks in the dam, and they're seeing a lot of tourists showing interest in this dam because it's one of the largest in the world. One other point to ponder is that the Yangtze River is considered to be one of the world's most polluted rivers. Before the dam was constructed, the Yangtze had pollution issues. The dam has now helped to contribute to that title due to the decreased flow and lack of sediment downstream of the dam. The pollutants are not able to be filtered out, and they're actually becoming more concentrated. It's estimated that more than 10 million tons of trash is getting stuck behind the reservoir, and much of this trash is comprised of plastic bags, bottles, trees, and even some animal corpses. In addition to these items, when they flooded the area behind the dam for the reservoir, about 1,600 factories were flooded, and some chemicals were released as a result of that. So the concern for pollution occurred also just from the flooding of the reservoir. The Yangtze River is a hotspot for biodiversity and has over 6,400 different plant species, 3,400 different insect species, and 300 different fish species. Even though it is known as a polluted river, it still does thrive in terms of biodiversity. I'd like to point out the Yangtze Chinese river dolphin that's pictured in the bottom right corner. In the 1950s, there were thousands of these dolphins in the Yangtze River. Now this species is considered to be functionally extinct, meaning that it still exists, but the population is so low, extinction is inevitable. They also have other species that are in need for protection in terms of population numbers, and these include the Chinese sturgeon, the Chinese paddlefish, and manatees. The constant fluctuation of water levels harmfully affects the lives of many aquatic species. In addition, the amount of sedimentation is impacting the basis of the food chain in the aquatic system. Increased navigation also is impacting biodiversity, as the river is more disrupted by more ships due to the presence of the dam that can handle larger sized ships coming up and down the river. So the dam has effects downstream. They continuously raise and lower the reservoir levels, which results in high flows and low flows downstream of the dam. In addition, China is now facing the worst drought in 50 years, and people are starting to blame the dam for some of their water supply problems that they're having. Farmers blame the drought on the lack of rain. Engineers believe the drought is caused from the lack of rain in addition to the dam. And Chinese officials have been pushing to increase the maximum capacity of the reservoir for maximum energy output, which is in turn decreasing the amount of water downstream. So not only do you have issues of reduced flow because of an existing drought condition, but also because of a reservoir behind a dam where the flow is kept low in order to maximize the dam energy production capacity. So some solutions to this are installing a series of smaller dams instead of such a large dam, or doing complete removal, which I think is highly unlikely. And the picture in the bottom of the screen is another viewpoint of the Three Gorges Dam. There's a list of pros and cons regarding hydroelectric power, and the question is posed whether or not China has learned any lessons from constructing this dam, the Three Gorges Dam. And actually they haven't. They're now working on the Zaludo Dam on the Jinsha River, which is considered to be the upcoming third largest dam in the world. It may cost around $6 billion, and it's expected to relocate over 100,000 people. This is a diagram of dams located throughout the United States which are hydroelectric powered dams. The small hydro power dams are in red, the low power are in yellow, the micro hydro are in blue, and the existing hydroelectric power plants are in yellow. You can tell there are numerous dams located along the Mississippi River and the tributaries that feed into the Mississippi River. In addition to that, there's a strong reference of low power hydroelectric dams in the New England state area. And then as we go to the west coast, there are many hydroelectric power dams located along the western coast as well. This is a diagram of the United States representing the hazard category for both hydroelectric and non-hydroelectric dams located throughout the United States. If it's colored red, it represents a high hazard category for the dam, and a yellow depicts a low hazard category for the dam. So looking at this graphic, we're seeing quite a few reds and oranges along the California coast area, and this may be correlated to the earthquake fault zones that are present throughout that region. And then if you look at the area around Pennsylvania and West Virginia, we have quite a few high hazard points located on this map. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about three more dams that are located here in the United States. First of all, I want to inform you that hydropower makes up 7% of the total United States electricity generation and continues to be the U.S.'s largest source of renewable electricity, with the ability to avoid over 200 million metric tons of carbon emissions each year. The Grand Coulee Dam is depicted in the top left corner, and this is located in Washington State. This is the dam that produces the most hydroelectric power in the United States of any of the dams that have been built thus far. The Oroville Dam in California is 770 feet tall, and that is pictured in the top right corner. It is considered to be the tallest dam in the United States since 1968. Just last year, in 2017, this dam experienced a spillway failure during heavy rains after a several-year drought in California. And finally, the third dam is the Fort Peck Dam on the Missouri River in Montana. It's one of the highest dams on the Missouri River, and it's over 21,000 feet in length, and it's the largest hydraulically filled dam, earthen dam, in the world.